Hello everyone, welcome to the IAS Mentor Modern Indian History series. We are continuing the resistance to the British Raj. We have understood so far different causes or factors behind the resistance to the British Raj, and also we have understood various examples across India. But the Great Revolt is very significant event in Indian history. Here the Great Revolt refers to 1857 revolt. In 1857, the developments that happened in 1857 had shaken the foundations of the British Empire. In fact, the Company Raj came to an end because of this great revolt. We are going to understand 1857 revolt in detail. Causes we will see, different leaders in different parts we are going to understand, and also consequences or the impact of 1857 revolt. This chapter or this topic within the resistance of the British Raj very important both in terms of mains as well as for prelims. Let us see. With respect to the factors of 1857 revolt, so many factors are there. Political factors, broadly we can categorize into political, economic, social and so on. When it comes to these factors, two important issues we need to discuss in detail. So this class is specifically dedicated for these two issues. While discussing these two issues, we can understand how the British captured politically entire Indian subcontinent. Before that, let me show you different images. The 1857 revolt. Identify some of the images that belong to 1857. Identify this. Hanging. These how Indians were punished by the British. It has literally shaken the British at that particular point of time. Bahadur Shah, he was the last Mughal emperor. Identify the images to showcase how the great revolt was taking place. The battles, wars and battles between two forces, two sides, both Indian side as well as British side. So this is one of the important episodes in our history. When it comes to the factors, broadly, when it comes to the factors, broadly we can highlight under various headings: political, economic, socio religious. Political, economic, socio religious. The immediate cause triggered by military cause. Political, economic, socio religious. Deeply the issues that influenced the mindset of people were rooted in these dimensions. But the immediate trigger for 1857 revolt lies in military cause. Apart from the factor which triggered 1857 revolt, there were some other grievances also among the sepoys, but those issues again connected with this. That is why broadly we have to see the factors means in this way. But two factors under political need special attention. That is why I am dedicating this class to analyze these two issues. Number one, Subsidiary alliance system. Subsidiary alliance system. Second one, doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. When it comes to these two factors, doctrine of lapse, subsidiary alliance system, they contributed for the grievances among the Indian princes. Particularly, this factor was the major grievance which created a lot of anger among the Indian princes. But to understand the exploitation of the British, to understand how British captured Indian powers, how they continuously tried to undermine Indian princes and continuously expanded their political power, lies in the first one, the subsidiary alliance system. So far, we have not discussed in detail. That is why this class we are going to dedicate for these two issues. While we discuss these two issues, you will come to know even more broader analytical aspect how British were expanding their power over a period of time. First one, subsidiary alliance system. Subsidiary alliance system. Now, when it comes to subsidiary alliance system, what does it mean? Here simply they are saying Indian rulers need not to maintain their military. On behalf of Indian rulers, British will maintain the military, but for maintaining, it is like we are giving you service of security. We are providing the security service. What we expect in return? Payment. That payment, either you can give in the form of cash or you give us land. If you give some land territory, that is also our fee. But it is not only about security. There are many other elements also which literally the Indian rulers signed away their independence to the British. One by one. When it comes to the usage of this principle in capturing Indian powers, Governor General of Fort William, Lord Wellesley. Lord Wellesley. When it comes to Lord Wellesley, he utilized this. He utilized this particular policy very rigorously. He is the one. What is the time period? As a Governor General of Presidency of Fort William, he was there from 1798 to 1805. 1798 to 1805. He was the powerful Governor General of Fort William after Cornwallis. So before him, powerful Governor Generals means Lord Cornwallis, Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings is the first Governor General of Fort William, later Cornwallis, then Lord Wellesley. When he was administering India in 1789, in Europe, an earth-shaking event took place, that is French Revolution. In 1789, French Revolution took place. Now, because of this French Revolution, England also facing threat. Continuous wars were going on. At this point of time, Napoleon was creating danger for England security also in Europe. And here also French people are there. French people are there. And here Mysore is particularly trying to improve its relationship with the French people. That is why Wellesley strongly determined to control Indian princes, Indian rulers strongly so that they will not fall into the trap of French, and French will not create headache in India also. Already France, Napoleon is creating headache for England there, and they don't want that kind of problem here. As long as they are secure in India, at least they can fight Napoleon in England. If they lose India, then it becomes very difficult. It is like a survival fight. That is why he designed this one subsidiary alliance system. That means natives were there like Nizam. When it comes to these rulers, when it comes to these Indian rulers, Marathas. Now, if you take Nizam, Nizam is having security problem from whom? Marathas, Mysore. Now, to protect his kingdom, he needed military. But this military is outdated. Outdated means swords like Mughal Empire. They are the successors to Mughal Empire. Whatever Mughal Empire was following, this similar kind of military tactics, military training, military strategies they were following. But now the things have changed. When it comes to new methods of warfare, they are coming with advanced weapons, guns, their strategies accordingly. Now he designed this strategy that you are outdated military, we provide you security, we protect you from any kind of external aggression. Internally, whatever you want to do, you do yourself. We don't worry. Internally, it is not our concern. Internally, what kind of tax you want to collect, what kind of justice system you want to have, what kind of law and order maintenance you want to have, everything that is up to you. Who is going to succeed? It is up to you. But external things we are going to handle. Now, indirectly, what is happening here? Now, instead of fighting with Nizam to capture the Nizam territories, you are using a diplomatic tool through which Nizam himself is surrendering this kingdom indirectly to you. That is what subsidiary alliance system. What are the features here? Number one. Number one feature is, one by one I am going to write. Stationing of British troops. British troops. British troops will be there. They will train the troops, and for the sake of protecting the Nizam territory, they are going to fight. They are going to fight with any kind of external forces. The moment they maintain the British troops, payment for troops, Indian rulers have to pay. Indian rulers will pay to the British. Next, third, Indian rulers, though the moment they are controlling this means, that means indirectly what you are doing, you are surrendering your foreign office to the British. That means diplomatically now you are completely relying on British how to handle Marathas, how to handle Mysore, how to handle some other neighbor. And that means your diplomatic powers, your foreign relations, you are surrendering to the British. That is what foreign powers or foreign, we use the term, better term, foreign policy. No independent, no independent foreign policy. Here in this case, Lord Wellesley, he is fearful that British is now having agreement with Nizam. Foreign policy means, suppose if Nizam is sovereign, independent, now he is not depending on anyone. Then if Nizam wants to upgrade his military, what he can do? He can go and maintain good relations with France. British should not have any say. That is, if you do not sign subsidiary alliance treaty, but the moment you sign it, that means you will not have complete independence in foreign policy. These people will come and influence your foreign policy. And their foreign policy is going to be according to their interests. British and France, they are enemies. Now, Indian rulers were not allowed to enter into any kind of relationship with France. That is why, suppose in the present day circumstance, if India is not having independent foreign policy, India wants cheap oil and we want to import from Russia. But on the other hand, USA and Russia were enemies to each other. Suppose if we are not following independent foreign policy, if we are depending on America, then America will dictate our foreign policy towards Russia, our foreign policy towards China. Always America says whatever it wants, whatever America wants, how India should behave, then it will start dictating. But today India is a sovereign country. We need not to depend on anyone and we need not to listen to anyone. It is up to our national interest. We will decide. But in those times, if you are a ruler and if you are depending your position on British, now British are going to dictate foreign policy. That is why British imposed Nizam should not have any kind of relationship with France. Now, this is the reason when Mysore ruler Tipu Sultan, he was independently behaving, independently he wants to improve relationship with France. He wanted to train his military also on the lines of European models with the help of France. French officers were training the Mysorean soldiers. That is where British felt danger of this Mysore state. That is why they killed Tipu Sultan and they installed Wadayar dynasty, and Wadayar ruler signed subsidiary alliance treaty. Now, according to the British foreign policy, Wadayar supposed to follow foreign policy of Mysore. Indirectly, now Wadayar, for namesake, theoretically they are independent, they are ruling internally, but when it comes to the independence, they cannot behave independently. They are surrendering their independence to the British. Could you see this, how they are going? Now, either you go for war to protect your sovereignty, another mechanism is you have subsidiary alliance treaty with British. British will take care of external security. Now, Marathas also in 1802-03, here also Marathas Peshwa also going to sign subsidiary alliance treaty. In this way, Awadh, Nizam, Mysore, Marathas, many kingdoms are going to participate or going to sign this agreement. In this way, they got complete control over many territories. Directly, they themselves conquered like Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Northern Sarkars, Carnatic region. They are directly ruling. Madras Presidency. Some were native rulers were there. That native rulers signed subsidiary alliance system. With this, they surrendered their independence. Next, when it comes to this foreign policy means again, they cannot employ other points. Native rulers cannot employ Europeans. Native rulers cannot employ Europeans without British permission. And if you are depending on British for the approval, then that means you are not independent. Next one, as a payment, territory is surrendered as a payment. That is how they used to take different territories. Mysore, they have taken territories from Mysore, they have taken territories from Nizam, and they used to control entire coastline. Particularly, they were very much interested in capturing entire. When it comes to the subsidiary alliance treaty, they used to demand the territories along the coastline. Because internally, if you are a separate kingdom also doesn't matter, but external, this naval shipping lines, they needed control. That's why they used to control the coastal area. Internally, Nizam will be there or Marathas will be there. Small kingdoms will be left. Mysore will be there. Nagpur will be there. Small kingdoms will be there. But they are not threat because the main coastline is completely under British. Territory is surrendered as a payment to the British. Now, indirectly, what is happening here? What British gain? They got Indian territory, both directly some territories, indirectly remaining territories. Now, sixth one. Why Indian rulers, what Indian rulers will get? The promise is no interference in internal politics. Suppose Raja or Nawab died. After that, who should succeed? Succession as per the tradition. Succession as per the tradition. And what about taxation policy? What about justice system? Art and culture, pattern of art and culture. Socio-economic system, whatever laws they were following, it is up to them. No interference here, no interference. As part of the agreement, this is the one, but it is only in theory. This is only in theory. A British resident is appointed. A British resident, like a diplomatic office, foreign office, in the capitals of native states, a British resident is appointed. He is supposed to maintain only defense related, external threats related, only military related issues, not to interfere in the internal politics. But this British resident used to behave as if he is the real king of these kingdoms. Because the British resident is very powerful. Outside these kingdoms, they are controlling entire India. Now, do you think they are going to respect these Nawabs and Rajas? They are not going to respect. And in fact, they used to behave like as if they are the rulers of this kingdom. That is why, suppose if there is any succession dispute and he used to interfere. And if there is 2-3 contenders, one of the contenders will go and approach British resident and promise that if you support me and if I become the king and whatever you want, I will give you. Now, indirectly, what is happening? You are deciding who is going to rule. The moment you decide who is going to rule, then that means that is yours only. That is how the British resident used to interfere internally. In theory, not to interfere, but practically every day they used to interfere. So that is why the Indian native rulers also had grievance, but still, because their military itself surrendered, what they can do? They could not do anything. Subsidiary alliance treaty. Now, who is the person behind this? Lord Wellesley. Remember this? During French threat, when French Revolution was going on, when Napoleon threat was going on in Europe, Lord Wellesley vigorously used it and he imposed subsidiary alliance treaty on Mysore also. Nizam was the first one to sign subsidiary alliance treaty. He imposed this treaty on Mysore also after killing Tipu Sultan. Imposed even treaty with respect to Marathas also. In Marathas, power struggle was going on. In Peshwa camp. Peshwa himself went and submitted to British by signing Subsidiary Alliance Treaty. This is why this is indirectly only as a treaty. It appears as if native rulers tried to maintain their sovereignty, but in fact they surrendered. They surrendered their sovereignty. Sovereignty. Namesake, they will be there, but for all practical purposes, British only ruling. This is what subsidiary alliance system, subsidiary alliance treaty or subsidiary alliance system. Lord Wellesley utilized this principle very vigorously. Next one. Another diplomatic tool which they used to control or to capture directly was doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. When it comes to doctrine of lapse, now you see this, through this subsidiary alliance treaty, they used to already interfere. By 1840s, British Empire became very big. Considering 1757 Battle of Plassey, 1764 Battle of Buxar, 1773 Regulating Act, then 1820s, by 1820s Marathas also captured, by 1840s Punjab also captured. Now as a result, what happened? From Fort William to this, they wanted to connect. This is the capital, Fort William, and this is the place where Lahore is there, Kandahar, Kabul. Now what happened? In between Awadh, small territories are there like Jhansi, Nagpur, Satara. In Odisha also some small kingdoms were there. For namesake, they were maintaining their territory, their kingdoms, their autonomy. But when it comes to this, Dalhousie, when Lord Dalhousie came, when Lord Dalhousie became the Governor General of Fort William, he believed in outright conquest. He do not believe in this kind of subsidiary alliance system. That means theoretically you are saying we are not going to interfere, but practically, indirectly, you are only ruling. For all practical purposes, you are only ruling these countries. That is why doctrine of lapse, when it comes to this philosophy, Dalhousie believed that this kind of indirect control, I don't believe. Let me directly control, let me take the complete control over these territories. For that, doctrine of lapse principle he used extensively. He is not the one who introduced it, but he is going to use it very extensively. According to this, suppose if there is a ruler and died, according to the Hindu tradition of succession, eldest son is going to become the next ruler. Eldest son. In case of Nawab, if Nawab dies, then if multiple brothers are there, then they are going to decide who is going to be the next rule. Generally, eldest son, even though this is there, but always it is not a smooth one. They used to fight. Like after Shah Jahan, or when he was alive itself, the brothers, Shah Jahan's sons started fighting. Aurangzeb became the next emperor. That tradition is continuing in every place like this. This is about succession issue within the family. The British brought this idea that suppose if this ruler is having natural sons, natural heir, then they will decide who is going to be the ruler. Suppose if there is no natural heir, that means if there is no natural born son, sometimes these rulers used to adopt some sons so that after their death they are going to succeed. But British told this adoption we are not going to accept. Only if natural sons are there, natural heirs are there, we are going to accept this. If there is no natural son, then we are not going to accept this succession. That means we are not considering you as independent kingdom. Your kingdom belongs to the British. This principle he used, and he is going to actively utilize in the condition like Satara in 1848, Jaitpur and Sambalpur in 49, Bagal in 50, Udaipur, Jhansi in 1854, Nagpur 54, Tanjore Arcot, like this. In this way, he is going to use this philosophy in case of Jhansi, Satara, Nagpur, Sambalpur in Odisha. He captures a lot of territories. Now, what about the people who are wishing that after this ruler, someone who he adopts is going to become the next ruler? If British do not accept this, now what will happen? These royal family members who are willing to become next successor, they are going to revolt. Naturally, they are going to revolt. That is what the core issue of Jhansi Lakshmi Bai also. Jhansi Lakshmi Bai issue is also that only. They did not accept the next successor. That's why she has taken the weapons. She is ready to fight against injustice. That is what. That is what doctrine of lapse is all about. If there is no natural heir, British decided to conquer that particular kingdom permanently. Indian native rulers cannot rule in that particular region if they do not have any natural sons. That's what doctrine of lapse. When it comes to this, if British do not approve it, they cannot automatically become the next rulers. Without British approval, they cannot automatically succeed to the throne. Their approval is required. When it comes to Lord Dalhousie, he is not going to give approval, and in fact, he captured these territories. And it is with respect to Awadh, just before 1857 revolt in 1856, with respect to Awadh, there is no problem of natural sons. Awadh ruler is having multiple successors, natural sons. They don't have any issue with respect to doctrine of lapse. Issue will not come here. Still, despite that, Dalhousie wanted to conquer this territory so that he can continuously control from northwestern frontier to the capital seamlessly without taking any kind of permission from the Indian rulers. That's why he brought a new kind of mechanism that is called misgovernance. Here, people were suffering from poverty, illness, famines, corruption. He is using misgovernance as a reason to conquer Awadh, and in fact, Dalhousie captured Awadh also. He annihilated Awadh also. Now, the people who are willing or who are very much respecting the royal family members of Awadh suddenly felt cheated. Suddenly felt that British are not the people who are going to commit their word. They are not going to honor their word. They are violating their own word. Whatever promises British gave to the Indian rulers, they themselves are violating. Now, British, we cannot believe or we cannot trust the British. Now, if we are not able, if they are not honoring their word, then we need not to think about this honoring, respecting British. They are going to revolt. That's why the loyalty of Awadh completely shaken the moment Dalhousie decided to capture Awadh on the pretext of misgovernance. When it comes to doctrine of lapse, there are other kingdoms where natural heir is not there. This is one grievance. But when it comes to Awadh is very much loyal to the Britishers since Battle of Buxar. After Battle of Buxar, since those days, Awadh is just doing whatever Britishers were asking. Their British resident only really ruling it. As part of Subsidiary Alliance Treaty, they surrendered their independence, they surrendered their complete control to British. And in fact, it is British resident only ruling it indirectly. Whatever the pathetic condition that is happening to the people, that is because of British policies only. But finally, Awadh the ruler became the scapegoat. That's what since the beginning British used to do like that. With misgovernance pretext, they captured. So Subsidiary Alliance Treaty, they already lost it. And the British are not going to fulfill their promise also. They are not supposed to involve in the internal affairs, but still they used to do that. With respect to doctrine of lapse, British were initially accepting even adopted heirs also to the throne. Later they decided as their power is increasing, now they want to control completely without any intermediary between them and the people. That is where doctrine of lapse also they did not honor. With the doctrine of lapse, they are going to capture these territories also. If there is no natural heir, Dalhousie decided he wanted to capture completely. And naturally, these people are going to revolt. And with respect to Awadh, it is even more glaring reality that British decided to capture this. It happened with respect to Sindh also. If you remember, Sindh region also. In 1843, Sindh was captured. What is the person who captured Sindh himself acknowledged? We don't have any right to seize Sindh, yet we have to do this rascality. Still, we have to commit this crime because it has that kind of importance with respect to Afghanistan. Here, Russians and British were competing for their spheres of influence. Now, Russians and British competing for the sake of Afghanistan. In between Sindh, they don't want, and they captured it. And same goes this also. They want to control this. They here already controlling. They already controlling. In between, they don't want any other small kingdom. They have taken Awadh also. But the reason here, already doctrine of lapse cannot be applied here. That's why they came up with another invention, that is misgovernance. And if you apply misgovernance as the reason to remove the government, you have to remove British East India Company government itself. But obviously they will not apply on them. They are going to apply on Indian rulers. This is why now Subsidiary Alliance Treaty, doctrine of lapse, misgovernance. In this way, these are diplomatic tools. Subsidiary alliance, diplomatic tool. Doctrine of lapse, diplomatic tool. Misgovernance, diplomatic tool. Apart from wars and battles, through these instruments, they captured Indian territories. And naturally, when British are not treating Indians with respect, they are going to completely protest, resist against the British Raj. As part of doctrine of lapse, they used to get pension. Suppose if there is Raja, like Peshwa was removed and Peshwa was given pension. Suppose if you do not apply doctrine of lapse, this pension after the death of this person, his adopted son also can get it. Natural sons will get it or adopted son will get it. But if doctrine of lapse is applied, this adopted sons will not get the pension automatically. That is why Peshwa, who wanted to become next Peshwa, Nana Sahib, he wanted to get this pension of his father when British declined him that we are applying doctrine of lapse, you are not a natural heir, that's why we are not going to honor this. That's why he will provide leadership in Kanpur region. Could you see this? Doctrine of lapse. Jhansi Lakshmi Bai fight against this doctrine of lapse. Nana Sahib is going to fight against this doctrine of lapse only. And when it comes to misgovernance, Awadh, the soldiers, many of the soldiers in British army comes from Awadh region. They're going to fight. That is what Sepoy revolt. The triggering element is this. Many Sepoys come from Awadh region. 1857 revolt. The backbone of 1857 revolt was Sepoys from Awadh region. So in this way, through subsidiary alliance treaty, through doctrine of lapse, through the pretext of misgovernance, they are going to hurt the sentiments of Indians. That is why Indian rulers are going to take weapons, particularly when doctrine of lapse and misgovernance tools were used. With respect to subsidiary alliance treaty, Rajas were very much loyal to the British. Nizam, many people whoever surrendered their independence to the British, they were continuously subordinate themselves to British. Continuously they were supporting the British as long as their rule is not disturbed by the British. So that's why British have created some loyal people, loyal Rajas were there. At the same time, they created disturbance for some Rajas. Those Nawabs who could not get a benefit out of these policies, they take the weapons in 1857 revolt. All right. So these are two important issues. One is doctrine of lapse, another one subsidiary alliance treaty. It's very important to understand how the British controlled, captured Indian territories. All right. When it comes to the factors of the political factors, economic factors, socio-religious factors, these are we are going to understand. Already we have seen in the previous class that some Rajas also revolted, like Raja of Vijayanagaram and Diwan Veluthambi from Travancore and Raja of Vijayanagaram from Vijayanagaram king. This is the reason when subsidiary alliance treaty was not honored by the British, internally unnecessarily they are involving. That's why Raja of Vijayanagaram revolted. Diwan Veluthambi also. Diwan Veluthambi, he also protested against British interference. That is why resistance. And doctrine of lapse, Jhansi Lakshmi Bai against doctrine of lapse. So this is how, could you see culmination of these factors finally leading to an earth-shaking event, that is 1857 revolt. In the next class, we will see all the factors in detail, because these are the two aspects which you need clear-cut understanding. These are the two things we have discussed. And in the next class, we will understand what are the political factors, what are economic and social factors. And in one class, we will try to understand impact, consequences of it. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.